Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead The Ones Who Live video. So we have some new images here, and I do believe, well actually some of the images here I think are just promotional images, but I believe most of these images here that we do have for The Ones Who Live that AMC released today are actually from episode 1. So I'm going to call this an episode 1 sort of preview video, and I want to talk about more of, what to expect in episode 1, because just judging by, what the shots look like in general, what the characters are wearing, it kind of seems like this is very much an episode 1 thing. I don't think a lot of these shots are from episode 2. Maybe there is that possibility that it could be, some of it from episode 2 anyways, but just because of what Michonne is wearing, and especially what Rick is wearing as well, because I don't think he's going to be wearing that brown jacket for like episode 2, 3, and just later on. I think that a lot of this is just episode 1 here. So I want to talk about episode 1, talk about sort of what to expect about this show. Obviously, the show is premiering in just 5 days now. We're 5 days away. And so, yeah, this is kind of my episode 1 predictions, episode 1 preview video. So if you do want to get more content like this, then definitely make sure to be a subscriber. I will be doing reviews every single Sunday, trailer breakdowns every single Sunday, as well as a bunch of videos breaking down certain things that happen. So I usually do like a general review where I break down the entire episode and talk about everything just sort of, all together. And then if there's certain things that happen in an episode where it's like, certain bigger moments, or there's like mysteries, or now we got to break down this kind of thing, then I will do videos just like breaking all of that down kind of thing. I'll do that extra. And yeah, there's always a lot to talk about when the show's on. Like I'm never really, having a hard time coming up with, ideas and stuff for the show, because there's just a lot. There's so much to talk about that I actually don't really even get to all my ideas that I want to do. So there's going to be a lot. So definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my content. And also, go follow me on Twitch, because I will be doing live reactions to watching the episode. So that will be new. I'm not going to be doing it late at night. It's going to be during the day. And the reason why I decided to do it like that is because I do want to give people a chance to watch the episode sort of on your own if you care to. And then, usually probably that morning on Sunday. So it's going to be Sunday mornings, obviously. It'll be around like 10 o'clock or noon, around there. It'll be around that time. I'm guessing like 10, 11 o'clock or something like that in the morning, like 10, 11 Eastern, or like noon Eastern, around there. I will be live reacting to all of it on Twitch. And then, I'll just do a Q&A with you guys or whatever. And I'll be streaming my live reaction to watching the very first episode this Sunday. We'll continue that every single Sunday, and then we'll just see where that goes, I guess, kind of thing. And obviously do the reviews and all that here, break everything down on here. So just want to let you guys know that. But let's actually get into what I wanted to talk about here, which is, first of all, these photos right here, and then we'll go into sort of an episode 1 preview. So a lot of these photos are just absolutely incredible. These are like, I guess technically these are like the character portraits, though you can tell these are more like, that's an actual background. Like, first of all, this is going to be amazing in terms of editing and stuff for thumbnails, because you can easily edit a lot of this here. But yeah, we have this one shot here of Michonne, and just super awesome outfit. Honestly, it's kind of insane. Like I will say, Rick and Michonne's outfits are just absolutely insane for The Ones Who Live. Like if you're just looking at Michonne's outfit and then you go to Rick's outfit, it's actually really insane to think that they're wearing outfits like this. And I saw someone comment something, maybe it was on Instagram when I made that post, but it was something similar to like, imagine if Shane was alive to this day, right? Like if Shane could just see what would happen to Rick. And it's so crazy to think of Rick in season 1 just, wearing a sheriff's outfit, and then now you look at him, right? And like, it's honestly, it is really insane. It's so crazy to see how far Rick has come. And with Michonne, the thing about her armor that I'm really wondering about is, what is that group all about? Like the group that she's with, what's that group all about? Because we're really like, it literally seems like the group is basically, I guess, only going to be an episode 1 thing. That's what I'm wondering if they could do with the season 2, if it ends in a way where Rick and Michonne maybe go with Michonne's group, right? And so they're with them for a bit. Like maybe that's how that group comes back into the picture here. But I am just very curious about it. I'm really curious about like where that group goes, and like, is there a connection with some of the yellow gas that we see dropped by the CRM? Like, is there something that happens there? Because where does Michonne get this outfit? And is she the only one wearing this type of outfit? It's almost like armor, honestly. Like what she is wearing and what Rick is wearing, they're both wearing like, it's like armor almost, right? So obviously not entirely, but technically it's very obviously resistant to like walker bites and stuff like that. So like, yeah, it just looks absolutely incredible here. But The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, episode 1. So again, this is a preview. This episode is airing this Sunday. I do believe AMC Plus, their release time for the episode is going to be just like previous ones. So they're going to be releasing it every single Sunday. It's not going to be a week earlier. Obviously, we would have already had the episode. It's not going to be 3 days earlier as well. They're not releasing it on Thursdays. It's going to be the same thing as Daryl Dixon, which to me is perfect. You build up and you save all the hype for the Sundays, right? Having it earlier, like for me, I'm watching it on AMC Plus anyways. I'm not getting cable to watch it. Like, I'm not getting AMC Plus to watch The Walking Dead early. I'm getting AMC Plus to watch The Walking Dead. I understand that in the beginning, that was probably, a sort of a marketing, I guess, tactic to be able to get people to get AMC Plus. So I do understand that. But I think at this point, they should just kind of drop that, because I don't think people are really, caring to watch the episodes early. I think people just want to really just watch the episodes on time. And I think everyone's just watching on AMC Plus now. So yeah, this Sunday, obviously the episodes on AMC Plus will be available technically earlier, like on the day, but they're both releasing on the same day. And so episode 1 is titled Years. The episode was written entirely by Scott Gimple, and it was directed by Bert and Bertie. We don't know much about this episode, but it does seem like the episode is going to focus a lot on obviously catching up, just the audience with what Rick has been up to for the last, it's been close to 10 years now. Rick has been gone for about 10 years. And so it's really, it's going to be set around that time where Rick is struggling to adapt at the CRM. We're going to see him try and escape like a ton of times, right? Like, it seems like it's not just the one time that we saw in the very final episode of The Walking Dead. It seems like he actually, he tries to escape a couple of times and obviously fails. And so, obviously the big speculation is that Rick is going to be losing his hand in this episode. And I do think it's likely going to happen in the opening minutes of this show. I do think it's going to happen right in the opening minutes because, Andrew Lincoln's been talking about some moments, and to me, it just kind of makes a lot of sense. I think there's been some talk about some of the stuff, happening with Atlanta and Los Angeles happening in the very opening minutes. So I think the opening minutes of the show are going to be pretty big. Like, we're going to see quite a bit of stuff right in the beginning where we see the CRM destroying, I guess, like Atlanta, Los Angeles and everything. We're going to see their impact in the world, how powerful they are, and then where Rick is. And then I think this scene, honestly, is going to end with Rick losing his hand. How does that happen? Does he get bit and does he cut off his own hand? Or is it punishment for him leaving? At this point, I'm starting to guess that it is going to be more punishment, or not punishment, but he's going to get bit or something like that, and then he will obviously lose his hand. Now, there is a shot like this where you do see Rick, and obviously it looks like he has his left hand there, right? To me, I actually think it's going to be a prosthetic hand. And we've seen this hand in a future shot where it looks like it's in a fist. And so to me, it's very like, I don't know, does he lose his hand, or is his hand just very severely wounded where he needs to kind of have a glove on it, and it's just very, very weak, right? Like, maybe he doesn't entirely lose his hand, but I don't think so. I think he probably is going to lose it because they do talk about it a lot. Andrew Lincoln mentioned it in an interview. So I just wonder, and I don't know if the show's going to go in a place like this, but I wonder if he's actually going to have a bionic hand where it's just some kind of technology that the CRM has developed where it just kind of moves based off of, I don't know, maybe it can just sort of detect your muscles and stuff and like what you would move kind of thing. And so maybe it's very basic and sort of movement, but maybe Rick is able to have somewhat of a hand kind of thing. So that's kind of my prediction right now. That seems kind of insane for The Walking Dead to introduce something like that, but I don't really know what else it would be, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure Rick is losing his hand. I feel like, at this point, it would be pretty surprising if he did, or didn't lose his hand, just because of how much Andrew Lincoln has talked about it, and just other cast members, or not other cast members, but people have really hinted at this. And I'm not saying Andrew Lincoln talked about it and spoiled it, but it was practically that. If you watch his interviews, I mean, he's really hinting at the fact that it seems like he does lose his hand. So it seems that that's probably going to be something that does happen here. But let's actually talk about the photos that were released today by AMC. And I do believe this is all from episode 1. Maybe some of it's not from episode 1, but I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that it would be from anything else just because of the way that the shots look. Like, it just kind of feels like this is all going to be an episode 1 thing here. So we have this one shot here of Michonne, and obviously I think she has binoculars or something like that she's holding. I think this is similar to that shot when she's looking at the ship. And so at this point, this is probably very early on in Michonne's story. I think Michonne at this point is still obviously looking for Rick. She's looking for any clues just on where he could be. And I don't know if she's really going to find any clues until honestly she runs into the CRM, because it seems like that's probably going to be something that does happen. The CRM are going to attack Michonne and her group. And I think that could be the first time where she's like, oh, maybe that's where Rick is, right? And I'm wondering if she sort of learned some stuff beforehand, if there's something like that beforehand, or maybe, I don't know, maybe she sees Rick. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing to me. Like, there's a shot like this here. So this is a shot that we are going to be getting. Obviously, we've seen her in a shot similar to this in the trailer, and it really looks like, just because obviously in the other shot, she's like smiling. So it almost looks like, you know, maybe she saw Rick. Maybe that's possible. Maybe she actually did see him, and so she has like some belief that, like, or maybe not even belief, because if she sees him, she's like, oh, he's right there, right? I don't know. I think that's really, I don't want to say too soon, but I think they're going to hold off on some of those reveals, you know, for a bit. I don't think Michonne's going to see Rick until episode 3. So yeah, so this shot here of Michonne, I believe she's just trying to look for clues for where Rick could be at this point here. We then have this shot here of Rick, which obviously we know he's killing walkers. Yeah, I think this is going to be very early on in episode 1. Another one here of Michonne and Nat. This seems to be probably how their conversation first starts about just sort of everything. Again, I think this is going to be in episode 1. They're just talking about kind of whatever. I think we'll learn a lot about who Nat is, you know, just sort of as a character. This will sort of be our introduction scene, I'm guessing, to the character. And I think this scene is going to end with a lot of Michonne talking about, you know, just how hard it is to be away from Rick and her family and stuff. So yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot about that. And I think that's kind of what this scene will be about overall. Another shot here of Michonne with the 2 other characters. I keep forgetting like what their names are, but they're the 2 characters that were in Michonne's final episode. I think they're going to die in episode 1. To be honest, I don't see them really being in this series for too long, because it doesn't seem like it. Based off of a lot of the promo, it looks like they're with Michonne pretty much, I think, for the first episode. So I'm thinking that they're going to be deaths in this episode. And I do think it'll probably be around this scene here where I believe the CRM is obviously attacking them here. And so I wonder if the whole group is here, or if Michonne and just a couple of others just kind of like walked away from that group. I'm not entirely sure. Again, like the massive group of people that Michonne was with, I have so many questions on like what that group is even about. And obviously, I think in episode 1, we're going to learn a lot of that, but it's kind of hard to speculate because it doesn't seem like the group is that relevant to the entire series. It almost seems like that group is just a group that Michonne's gonna just be with for a little bit, but I think early on in episode 1, she's probably gonna leave and then she'll be with Rick eventually, kind of thing, right? And then we'll just kind of forget about that group. So we then have a shot here of Michonne, which I don't know if she's looking at Rick at this point here. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I feel like she's probably just seeing like the helicopters arriving and she's like, wait, what's going on? Why are there helicopters here? And then she realizes it's really bad and the helicopters are trying to actually attack them. And so that's where I think she screams to like run, or I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's just basically like, get out of here. We gotta go kind of thing, right? Another one here of Michonne, which I think, again, this is going to be sort of early on in episode 1 as well, just because this kind of connects to the very final shot of The Walking Dead, right? So I think this is going to be in episode 1. This one right here, where we do see Rick Grimes, I also think that this is going to be in the opening minutes. I think this is obviously where Rick is going to lose his hand. Another cool shot here of Michonne, which is kind of related to the other one. Another one here of Michonne, and I still think that this is from episode 1. Like, I don't think this is an episode 2 thing at all. I still think that this is probably from episode 1. And then let's just go through the final shots here very fast, because there's quite a bit. So there's this one right here where obviously we see her talking with, I believe it's one of the characters that were in her final episode. But yeah, this is probably going to be, like, I don't think this is going to be the very first thing we see of Michonne. I think we'll probably see her obviously like on the horse in that armor, and then shooting into that big massive, you know, horde of walkers. And then like obviously there's that explosion and stuff that goes off. I think that's probably going to be our first scene of Michonne in this series. This I think will happen afterwards, where they're all just sort of camping out for the night. So this will probably be like maybe halfway through the first episode. That's my guess anyways. Like they're just gonna, you know, be camping out here talking about whatever, and the next morning or whatever, when they're gonna leave, that's when the CRM come to attack. And then we have this shot here of Michonne talking on the walkie-talkie, which obviously here she's trying to talk to Judith and RJ, right? Like she's trying to reach back to them, and it's just like at this point, you know, she's gone too far now. So obviously there's going to be no connection at all. But I think the effort, I think her just trying, you know, to see if maybe she can hear them or whatever, I think is obviously it's worth doing that, right? So yeah, we're going to get one of those emotional scenes here, which I think is really, this is going to be a really awesome scene, because obviously, you know, her having to leave her kids is very hard. Like it's not like she wants to do it, right? She has to do it because Rick could be out there, and there might not be a way for him to come back. But if she can go and find him, you know what I mean? Like, I just think it makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. It's just that it's obviously for her, it's going to be a very difficult thing, which I think we're going to see a lot in episode 1. We're going to see her struggling with that a lot. And then we get to some shots here, which I do think are probably from other episodes. Again, like the other ones, I do think this is all from episode 1. This shot here of Michonne, though, I think is an episode 4 shot because of the outfit that she's wearing here. I think at this point, she's already with Rick. So I think that this is episode 4 or even episode 5, because I know that there's something that goes down with Jadis and they're like sort of in, having that car battle or whatever outside. So I think that this is probably going to be something similar to that. And then, yeah, we just get these last 2 shots here, which obviously look incredible. And episode 1 to me, I think is going to be a really, really fascinating episode. I think that the episode is, I think it's going to be so much fun to see everyone again, just to see Rick and Michonne back, to see the opening credits. There's a lot of little things like that I'm looking forward to. Like, what are the opening credits going to be like for this show? And, how are they going to balance a lot of, I guess Rick and Michonne's storylines? Because that's also a very, a big part to it too, is like Michonne and Rick are both really big characters. And so, to have, I guess, either one of them, not have as much screen time as the other, like, you got to be able to, pace everything really well, and so those are the little things that I'm wondering about with this show. I'm really wondering, how they're going to handle a lot of that here. And so it's going to be kind of fun to watch the show because obviously there's a lot of hype and all that, but this show's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be like 100% so perfect where every episode is so amazing. I'm sure it's going to be so great, but there will be some issues here and there. People aren't going to like this or that, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that with every show. All shows are like that. So I'm interested in seeing, just some of that stuff there with the show and just how they handle a lot of that and just, what it was like to come up with this first episode. Because this first episode, I think it's got to be a big one. In my opinion, I think for a lot of shows, you don't need to come out strong, but your series premiere, you have to. If it's another season, again, if they do a season 2 to the show, that season 2 doesn't have to be that strong. But I feel like for this show, it has to be, right? Daryl Dixon, that premiere is very strong. Dead City, that premiere is very strong. So I think that this one here, it definitely has to be. And I know that they're going to be playing with time quite a bit. So I hope that they're able to do it in a way that's very revealing in terms of some stuff that we've been wondering about. And, just stuff that is obviously very exciting. And it looks like every episode ends on a cliffhanger, so I think that will obviously be there. It's going to be something that where it ends, and then we're just like, oh, we have to wait until episode 2. Like, we have to watch it kind of thing, right? So anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Post all your predictions and stuff and your thoughts about episode 1, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.